episode of the show. I am your interplanetary host, Travis Montgomery. Welcome to all you Merc dogs and Mercatorial planet dwellers out there. I'm feeling good today. Kind of. Maybe that's a lie. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing as well as can be expected. I kind of hurt myself last night. I was practicing martial arts on my own, and I kind of hurt my knee. But I didn't realize I did it until this morning. Got this fun clicking sound every time I walk now. So that's fun. Hopefully that goes away because I skipped going tonight because of it.
Yeah, getting old sucks. Kenny, how are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. I'm happy to be home.
Happy to be home. You guys, you went on a nice photo shoot, huh?
Yeah, it was a week long, and the photo shoot wasn't a week long, but worked for a week down in L.A., Hollywood area.
What area of Hollywood?
Yeah,
where were you in Hollywood?
Well, I was North Hollywood.
That's the worst part of Hollywood.
And then Culver City, then Santa Monica.
Where'd you go in Culver City? I used to work in Culver City.
Just over to my one of my friends was over there, and actually I had some friends come in from Miami that was staying over at his place as well. So
the thing I love about Culver City is there's parts of it that are amazing, and it's beautiful, and the houses are like $800,000-$900,000, and then you go a little closer to the freeway, and there's projects.
Yeah, it's kind of how LA is just in general. You turn on the wrong street and it's like whoa.
Yeah.
It's like did you hear about that? I'm from Cerritos, so but apparently there was that arrest in Cerritos today of the Skid Row kingpin.
Yeah, he had $600,000 in ones.
That's kind of sad.
Well,
definitely
he had a couple
sad.
million. He had a couple million just at the house. I want to say it was like 23 million or something. I actually heard a news story about it before, on the way home. But he had a couple tens of millions of dollars. But yeah, $600,000 in ones. That's an insane amount of ones.
I wonder if they're all crunkled up.
Wonder if his family knew what he was doing. Apparently, it was a pretty nice neighborhood in Cerritos.
Yeah, I mean, Cerritos is really nice, but then again, there's also you turn down the wrong street and you're in an unfriendly neighborhood.
Yeah, there's a lot of middle class gangsters in
middle class gangsters.
Yeah, people that have no business being gangster at all, but for some reason they wanted to join a gang, and especially.
Yo, what's your 401k looking like?
Well, it was funny because I made a post earlier about it on Facebook, and one of my other friends from Cerritos commented is yeah, there's a lot of gangsters in Cerritos or a lot of drug dealers in Cerritos. They're just usually smarter about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is true.
If Sean was on the show right now, we could, freaking rap intellectual about that one.
Other Sean.
No. Yeah. Oh, Sean is here. Never mind. I'm kidding. Yeah, the other Sean. He'll come on someday.
Yeah. Well, but yeah. So, anyways,
wait, hold on. 13 kilos of cocaine is a fucking shit ton. I don't think anyone else in the country probably has that much. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but that is it's a fucking lot of cocaine.
I can't believe the people on Skid Row. I mean, how much was he selling it for? People on Skid Row were getting enough money to buy coke and heroin and.
Well, it's probably turning it into other things.
Yeah,
crack and
making
crack.
it cheaper. Yeah, and other people and his distributors are probably stepping on it.
But still, the amount of ones would indicate just the small portions of the amount of drugs that they were buying, which that guy's making money hand over fist if he's selling $5 sacks, $10 sacks. I mean, that's panhandling money that they're turning into drug money.
Well, yeah, that's generally what happens.
I feel proud that the money I give to homeless people contributes to ODs of homeless people. I'm kidding. Jesus Christ. I don't give money to homeless people.
So insensitive.
Yeah. I try to give them food if I can.
Dude,
I've had people tell me stories about how they give, they see a homeless guy begging, and they go and they drive through McDonald's and get a meal or something, and then they bring it back to the guy, and the guy looks at him and he's like, what? I'm asking for money, not food. What are you doing? He like doesn't want to take it.
I've seen bums hit like food out of people's hands. I went to Berkeley, and the bums are pretty like, ruthless up there. Like, yeah, they friends have literally walked out of restaurants and handed them like the food that they got to go, and I've seen them knock it out of their hand. Like,
wow.
I've heard the bums, homeless, urban adventurers, whatever you want to call them, that the ones in the Bay Area are particularly nasty. That they're super aggressive and they're just like, hey, fuck you, give me money.
Yeah, well, I believe already get some kind of stipend.
The government pays them to be homeless?
Yeah, some
Nice.
kind of stipend. And
You know what happens when you reward someone for doing something, right? Keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that they like want to be a contributing part of society. Like,
Probably not.
they've kind of given up.
There's so many homeless people in Bakersfield per capita. It's kind of mind-blowing how it even happens. Especially not like right where I live, but close to where I live. In my shop that I pull up to every morning, there's people going through a dumpster because it's right next to a bakery. And so they're literally going through the garbage to look for food. And sometimes I'll leave food there. I'll give them like,
In the garbage?
yes, through the dumpster. And sometimes they fight over the food.
You leave
No,
food
I
in the
leave it.
dumpster?
I leave it on like the railing. I
Oh,
don't leave it in there with a note.
I bought a loaf of bread and I threw it in the dumpster.
Dude, it's every day I see homeless people, and if I see somebody canning, I usually throw my cans in the back of my truck in a box, and if I see someone canning and I'm stopped, then I'll give it to them. Kind of like makes their day. But
When I was in Hawaii a couple of months, I don't know how many months ago. I had a vacation. The first time I'd ever been to Hawaii. I'd never gone before. And I was in Maui, and I had a conversation with a guy, with a bartender at a wine bar. And because you figure in Maui, there was a lot of kind of, at least where we were, there was a lot of kind of, I don't know, disheveled-looking individuals. And we were talking to him about them, and he called them the people that lived in the sandominiums. They're the people that were homeless and just lived on the beach, and they had like compounds on the beach. And he's like, yeah, they don't care. It's like 70 degrees.
Yeah, no joke. If I like found myself in that unfortunate position, I would save up all my money and go to Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, you live on the beach. You can probably wander on to like a pineapple plantation or something and get some food, and no one's gonna know.
you could eat the sand.
You could eat the sand.
Sand patties.
Yeah.
But so yeah. Anyways, photo shoot. So
Best photo shoot.
Oh yeah.
I was able to knock out a couple of photo shoots. Managed to shoot the main footage for music video. Sat in on a recording session, and then filmed a couple of Kickstarter interviews or campaigns.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, but definitely happy to be home, but I think I'm getting ready to leave again tomorrow.
Huh.
Oh. You think you don't know?
Well, no, I do know, but I don't want to, but I want to.
Oh.
So you took a trip just from Vegas to LA. Wow. That's a bit of a drive.
Yeah, now I'm going from Vegas to Palmdale to my grandparents.
Oh.
And then,
so much fun.
and well,
661.
then going from Palmdale to Arizona, Tucson.
So you're going from the high desert to the low desert.
Yep.
Well, that's cool. And when you get back, maybe you could work on some of your mercurial homework.
Yeah, well, I'm going to work on some of it tonight as well. I have some editing to get done. I'm probably going to pull an all-nighter and sleep because I don't have to drive tomorrow. So
That's
what?
We'll see what happens.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, so just trying to work. Like
work. Work. I had an interesting work day myself today.
What was interesting, Travis?
Well, why don't you let me tell you, Kenny? So all right. So today I was supposed to start early at 5. So which means I got to wake up at 4:20. There's no pun there. I had to wake up at 4:20. So I get there at 5, and my coworker, I guess slash foreman, he's just been at the company longer than I have been. He's a little late, but I realized that I left my tools in my wife's car because I was helping my brother-in-law, sister-in-law move, and I put together all their appliances and shit. So I'm like, all right, I got to go home. It's 10 minutes there, 10 minutes back. Okay. I get back. Chuck's on the roof. This is Chuck. So it's at a mall, actually. We're moving a Weltz's Pretzels. So
Wetzel's Pretzels, home of the Wetzel dog.
Yeah, and Pizza Bites now, too, believe it or not.
If Wetzel's Pretzels wants to send me a pretzel dog. Kidding.
It might be kind of nasty by the time it gets to you from Bakersfield.
Well, they can send it frozen. Sorry, continue with your story.
No, please interrupt. I like it. Anyways, so I get there. I see another lower coworker. He's just a helper. His name is Clayton. So Clayton walks me into the mall where the Weltz's is, and I say, okay, so what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to pull the ground wire in. Okay, so I'm standing there for a little bit. And then all of a sudden I see the lights flash in the mall, and there's this weird sound coming from the electrical room, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I walk over there, and there's another electrical company there that has nothing to do with what we're doing. And I'm like, what? Like, what happened? He's like, I don't know. He's like, do you know anything about this? And there's this huge box, and it's a big electrical room, and there's a bunch of electrical components, and basically he asked me if I knew about it, and I'm asking him some questions, try and figure out so I can help him, because obviously the lights were just flashing. And then Chuck comes down the ladder, and he's like, you can go. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, you can go. And so I follow him out. He's grabbing a ladder off the truck. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? He's like, you can't stand around and talk with people, and blah, blah, blah. They got surveillance cameras, and this is a time and material job. And I'm like, dude, they asked me a question. And then basically he tries to shut the door on me, and I don't let him. And so I follow him in. I'm like, dude, are you all right? Like what the fuck? He's like, no, I'm not all right. And then I'm like, dude, so you don't need any help? And he's kind of like, well, you can't stand around. I'm like, can I help you? And he's like, no, just go. And then I was like, all right, well, fuck you then. And this was in front of the other company. It's like he's trying to like fucking down talk me. So there's that. I leave, and then I go home. It's a big drama thing. I'm talking to the owner of the company. It's like, oh my god. So then I start work at 8. Okay, start work at 8. The first job I go to, I have to take out 2 lights, put in new ones. So I go to the supply house, I get the lights, I bring them back. Wrong lights. I have to go back after I get everything ready and put one up, and then I discover that it's not the number that they wanted of lamps in the light. So I go and take it back, and basically I'm just like, it's been fucking Murphy's Law today. I go to the next job because we do a lot of service work where I go from job to job, fixing problem. I go to the next one, and it's a burnt-up plug. There's too much shit on it. I figure out what I need to do. I need to pull some new power over there, but I can't do it today. I go and plug everything back in, and it's like a 7-Eleven out here. It's not exactly a 7-Eleven, but it's called Fast Trip, and it's basically the same thing. And the fucking coffee maker breaks. It's a like industrial coffee maker, and it breaks. And I have no. I'm sitting there with the owner trying to figure out how this happens. Meanwhile, I got another customer thinking that I'm coming already, and I go to the last job to hang the ceiling fan, and the fucking bracket's broken. And I'm like, it's just been like a crazy, unfortunate day. I think I was gonna spontaneously combust or get hit by an airplane on the way home. I'm just glad I made it here to do the podcast with you guys.
In case you haven't realized, Travis is an electrician.
I'm an electrician by trade, but I'm really a ventriloquist.
Wait, so the bracket was broken before you got there, or you broke it?
Yeah, and the guy... Yeah, he's like, well, here's this, and then he hands me 2 pieces of it, and I didn't know until I go up to install it. I'm like, oh, this is the bracket, and it's in 2 pieces. And the guy was mad at me for being late, He's like, I got 5 jobs. I don't got time for this shit, and I don't even hang the ceiling fan. I'm just like, oh my lord. Could this day get any worse? But no, I didn't want to ask you because you start asking that questions. You put that energy out there, and then something worse will happen. So I didn't want to go that far.
Well,
that was my day, guys.
Glad you made it.
Me too.
Before we started on anything, really, well, I mean, we've been doing stuff, but on the way home, I saw something that just it I don't know, it triggered something in my mind, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. So I'm driving home in Orange County, right between the freeway, right between Angel Stadium and the pond, or the Honda Center where the Ducks play. And I saw a billboard for a movie, and I'd never heard of this movie up until this point, and I couldn't believe that the movie was actually being made. It was a movie for Angry Birds. It was an Angry Birds movie.
Yeah.
And I had no idea it was being made, and it's apparently coming out in like 3 weeks. It's coming out like May 20th or somewhere around there. And it just got me thinking about how back in the 80s, especially in the 80s, but even then into the late 80s, early 90s, how they would make the toy line and then make a cartoon about it to sell the toys, and people always talk shit on those cartoons, even though a lot of them are some of my fondest memories as a child. But they talk shit on those cartoons because it's just product placement for the toys that they were selling, and it's happening again. The
Transformers.
Transformers, Ninja Turtle, basically anything. Care Bears, My Little Pony. It's like all those things were for toy lines. Anything that Hasbro put out, the GoBots, whatever. But it's happening again. 30 years later, it's happening again with Angry Birds. Like, how do you make a movie out of Angry Birds without it being 15 minutes long and like a flash animation on the internet?
Whee!
It's gonna make so much money too. It's gonna make so much money.
Yeah, remember when studios made cartoons, they made children's movies that actually had a draw for adults that would make adults want to go see them. Like I think back to Looney Tunes in the 40s and 50s, where it was funny for kids, but it was also funny for adults because there's all like a bunch of references thrown in. I can only imagine like the Angry Birds movie is going to have some stupid pop culture references that kids are going to be able to recognize because they're so saturated with media.
They're gonna work a Kardashian joke in there somehow.
I was gonna say there's gonna be some Kim Kardashian thing that goes on there. And the kids are gonna be like, I know that hoe. And the parents are just going to be groaning, looking at their phones, probably because the house lights are up, and because they don't expect any real adults to go see this movie. It's like I don't like movies that have to torture the parents of the kids to go see it. Like the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. It's just like, oh.
And the worst is when they try and throw in some adult humor here and there that's not good, and you're like, this is making it worse. Like you're trying to appease me, and it's not working, and I could recognize that you're trying to appease me, and now it's really not working. Now I really want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, did you just throw in like a sex joke in this really kids movie? Like that's not even funny. That's just inappropriate.
Yeah.
Shrek did a lot of that.
Yeah, but Shrek wasn't. I mean, Shrek was one of those ones where it was sort of like borderline. It was PG. It wasn't G. I'm sure that the Angry Birds movie is going to be G.
And Eddie Murphy. Anything with Eddie Murphy's voice is fine by me. And Mike Myers that played Shrek, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So originally that was supposed to be Chris Farley, and he had recorded like 90% of the movie before he OD'd, and then because if you think about it, they like designed the character because the original Shrek, I guess the book. The ogre, the Shrek doesn't look anything like the Shrek in the movie, and they actually designed the Shrek in the movie to kind of look like Chris Farley, and because he was doing the voice, and he recorded like 80% of the dialogue before he died, and then the whole project got shelved for like 10 years or something.
I want to hear that dialogue.
You can find it online. There's some screen tests that he did for the movie where it's just put up against, I think, like storyboard pencils, but that you can find it online. Just search for Chris Farley Shrek or audio or whatever, and you can find some of it. And it was a completely different character. It was Chris Farley's voice like this, and it wasn't the Scottish voice that was the reason why Mike Myers ended up doing like a Scottish accent, because he was trying to do something completely different than what Chris Farley was doing.
Huh. Now that you say that, Shrek's movements and like his behavior kind of reflects on some of Chris Farley's like physical humor, I guess you'd say. Huh, interesting.
I know I had heard. I believe I had heard that too.
Yeah. Well, that was my tangent for the show. Probably not not the only one.
Thanks for sharing, Sean. You can go down. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Click.
So, Kenny, I've been meaning to ask you about how football went for you after we played on the Hornets together. Did you stick with football all the way into high school, playing on the minor leagues and all that?
Yeah, I stuck with it up until it got me into Berkeley. That's what got me into Berkeley. It wasn't necessarily my grades.
Not necessarily, but you still had a 4.0, I imagine.
Nah. In high school, it was a like 3.1 something.
Did you go to GAR?
No, I went to Cerritos High.
Oh.
Cerritos High.
Flavor.
Yep.
I bet you guys couldn't guess where I went to high school. It was in Anaheim.
Mater Dei.
No, that's in Santa Ana. But you're close. What's the school that's related to Mater Dei?
Servite?
Boy.
That's where I went.
Serve it.
Serve it.
Serve it.
Just serve it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How is that? Is that an all boys school?
Yes, it is an all male school because I wasn't a boy. I became a man there.
Isn't the girls' school like right across the street?
There's two girls' schools that are the sister schools. There's one that it's not across the street. It's maybe like a mile and a half away, and then there's another one that's in Fullerton that's farther.
2 episodes
Yeah.
Mercury. Shit. Sorry.
It's okay.
Need to text my wife, tell her that we're still recording, because if anyone ruins this podcast, it's going down.
Well, I'm the only one home here, so if anyone ruins the podcast here, well, I guess it'd be the dog.
It'd be your humping animals.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kenny.
No. So, you played football at Cerritos. What position were you playing?
In high school, I was a running back and free safety.
What?
Multifaceted.
Yeah. There wasn't too many athletes at Cerritos High School, so the athletes that there were,
trucking all them Koreans down the field, I bet.
Well, we actually
all-star
had
by default.
The most successful time period for real. We had the most successful what's it called?
Record?
Record, yeah, there you go. We had the most successful record in the time period I was there. Not necessarily because of me, more so because of our coach.
Don't sell yourself short. I'm sure it was because of
I mean, I had a large contribution to the effort, but it was more so the coach because he left our senior year and we did not do so well.
Why did he leave? Did he get a better job, or was he
the boys?
Yeah,
no, he actually he left for a D1 school, Redlands East Valley, and he actually won the state championship like 2 years ago.
Of course,
Redlands. That's a D1 school. I've never heard of it.
Rev is what it usually goes by.
No, I don't keep up on high school sports.
So your free safety and running back, is any what's like your favorite high school moment? Did you get like an 80-yard run or something and score a touchdown?
I mean, I guess I wouldn't say there was exactly one play. I would say more so like a game, and that would be the game against La Mirada. We beat La Mirada.
Ooh, La Mirada's a good team too, right?
Yeah, so that was pretty huge.
Would you like better, offense or defense?
I liked offense, but I feel like I was better at defense. Like offense, I don't know. It was fun. High school football was so much fun. College
I
football was
always
a
thought
different story.
I always thought that if because I didn't play football, I played basketball, but I had the football coaches. They were knocking on my door a lot because I was a big kid, and I always thought that if I did play football, I would much rather have played defense than offense because defense does all the hitting and offense gets all the hits.
Yeah, well, the good offensive backs, skilled position players, receivers, running backs, quarterbacks avoid contact as much as possible.
Yeah. Kind of in the job description.
Yeah. But
Don't
yeah,
get hit.
I would not want to be a lineman. Yeah, I would not sign up for that job.
Yeah,
Well,
that's why I didn't want to do it because I figured that's what I would have ended up as either defensive line or offensive line because in high school I was 6'4" and 200 pounds and figured that's the only place they're gonna put me.
In college, like the linemen hated life. Like they were all depressed and like just bitter. Like
injured, probably.
yeah, all of them always had at least one surgery in the off season. Like it was just they would get beat. Oh my god, their feet would look just horrible from getting stepped on. Like
Do they make steel-toed football cleats?
nope.
They should. But then you would end up with guys kicking other guys and.
Well, that happens anyways.
Exactly, a Dominican Sue.
Yeah, there was a guy that was in my class in high school who he had a malformed hand. He didn't have the like fully formed hand with fingers, and I remember him telling me that it was basically just bone. And I forget what position he played, but when he went to go in to tackle people, he would sometimes reach through their face mask because the thing was so small. He could reach through and basically punch him in the face with just a solid bone.
Oh, that sounds horrible. Just don't get his hand stuck in there. I'm sure it'd break.
Well,
if you remember, Kenny, I was an undersized defensive lineman.
I started out my first year in Cerritos. I played 1 year of football before that in the Valley, but my first year out in Cerritos, I played, I believe it was offensive tackle and defensive end. So I think everyone goes through that, unless you're like the coach's son, then you get all the good positions.
Right. All right. So from high school, fast forward, what was it like? Did you apply to other colleges, or was it like Berkeley? That was it.
No, well, my applying was just sending out my highlight tape, and I sent it out. I believe I don't remember exactly how many I sent out because it was more my high school coach who sent them out. But one day I just remember I got home. I was walking up to my front door, and there was a certified envelope in my mailbox. It's like, I wasn't expecting it to be for me, but I just looked. I looked, and it said Kansas State. I was like, oh, Kansas State, and it was addressed to me. I was like, okay, cool. I had gotten like recruitment letters and stuff like that, but that always went to the high school. So I take the package. I'm like going into the house, and I open it, and I'm reading the letter, and I'm like, dear Kenneth, we are pleased to inform you we would like to offer you a full ride scholarship. I was like, wait, what? Huh? And yeah, it was like my first full ride, and I didn't really know how to respond. I told my mom, and she was ecstatic. But but for me, I was like this is awesome. But I didn't really want to go to Kansas State, so it was cool, but I don't know. It was impressive. I don't want to say I wasn't impressed, but I was still like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I hope something else comes.
You were waiting for that letter from University of Hawaii.
No. Well, then the next day I went to school, and like in Spanish class, it was I think fourth period or something like that. I get called out, and I go to the front office, and it's another certified letter. And then like I take it and I open it as I'm walking back to class, and it's a full ride. It's an offer from Oregon. I'm like,
oh, Ducks.
I'm like, that made me juice. I was like, oh. So like I went back to class. I was like showing people, yada yada yada. All the Asian kids are like upset, jealous. they're all stressing, like taking SATs and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh well. I got an
This
offer
is
already.
bullshit.
Well, no, and then like a couple of weeks later, or not even weeks, I don't know, maybe a week later or so, I get called out of like civics class or econ or something like that, and I go up to the office, and it's the same thing but from Berkeley. And I'm walking back, and like I get back to class, and like I start showing them, and that's when all the Asian kids like shit a brick. Like, oh man, they were like, "What is your GPA? Like, what was your SAT score?" And oh man, they were.
What's your GPA? I run the 40 and 5.8.
Yeah, my GPA is 5.8.
and so yeah. In total, I ended up I believe accumulating 10 scholarships.
Damn.
And it was 8 or 7 of the Pac-10 schools, and then like Northwestern, Kansas State, Colorado, and I think one other school. I don't remember.
What made you pick Berkeley out of all of those?
Kind of my mom. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't even know where Berkeley was. Like,
Where is it?
It's up in San Francisco. Well,
yeah,
it's
Northern
in
California.
It's in Oakland. It's like right next to Oakland. It's its own city, but it's connected to Oakland.
Huh.
And
So she wanted you close to Oakland then?
no, she just realized the like prestige it was, I guess, to go and like.
But dude, Oregon? I mean.
Well, okay. So do you guys want like my recruitment trips?
Yeah, let's hear about it, bro.
Oh, all the dirt, the stuff that you got.
Like,
hey, we're going balls deep into Kenny.
Whoa, we're going balls
That's
deep.
what I want.
Whoa.
There's no pun there.
No.
Balls deep.
You didn't need a pun. It was just straight
into the recruiting trip. There we go. So I took. When I first, you're allowed 5 in high school to take 5 fully paid recruiting trips to the universities that are willing to offer them to you. And so when I first I was like 5, okay, I'm gonna take all 5, sweet. You don't realize how tiring these bad boys are. So you
we're talking about the rest of your life here, though.
Right. So for Oregon, they had the first recruiting trip I went on was to Oregon, and they sent a limo to my school. They picked me up like during 4th or 5th period, I don't remember, and like took me to the airport.
Damn baller status.
I had the option, and I regret it now. I had the option to fly on their private charter plane.
Oh my God.
But
Lord.
if I did that, my dad went on the recruiting trip with me. And if I flew on that, like he would have had to fly separately. So I was like, no.
Why didn't you do it?
I don't know.
I'm gonna be the good son.
I wish I would have, but so we fly up there, whatever. We land. It's just that my recruiting coach, which is also the defensive backs coach, that picks me up from the airport, and I believe it was like a 30-minute drive from the airport to the campus, to the stadium. So we go straight to the stadium, and as we pull up, like they have the bus, the Oregon bus, the team bus there.
Hey, I'm doing my podcast.
All of a sudden, the story's about traps.
I'm gonna beat your ass. All right. I'm sorry. Go. This damn kid.
What was I at?
So you pulled up, and there was the
pull
bus.
up, right? And they had all the cheerleaders out there. They had like the big Oregon flag waving.
Now, did you pull up? Was it like a
band.
bunch of you? Was it like a bunch of you that were pulled up, or was it
I was
just
the only
you?
one there. I was the only one there that weekend.
Man, all that fanfare for just you.
I was the only one there. I was the only one from out of town. They had like some local kids that went to the game and stuff.
Okay.
But for this actual walkthrough and stuff, it was just me.
So did they point to the cheerleaders and say, "Which one do you want?"
Well, we get out the car.
That's not a no.
We walk up to like the band's playing. The cheerleaders are all cheering. They got signs that have my name on it. And then they like walk the what is it? What are they called? The recruiting, not recruiting agent, but just for the sake of the story, we'll call it the recruiting agent up, or the chaperone. That's what it is. The chaperone, which is for guys, I'm sure it's always a hot like training staff girl.
Oh.
That ends up that's what ends up happening.
Let me wash your balls,
So
Kenny.
like so they come up, they introduce themselves. They're like, yeah, we'll be the one, or I'll be the one showing you around this weekend. Da, 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 da. I come to find out later though that it's like the middle linebacker's girlfriend, so it's not going down.
Oh Lord!
But
He got the tour before you and locked that shit down.
For real. So okay, so we end up walking into from the area we're at, from outside the stadium. We end up walking down the game, like the tunnel, straight onto the field. We walk straight onto the field, and as we get onto the field, like the loud announcer comes on the PA and like starts announcing the game like I'm actually in the game. Like they have this pre-recorded script going, and they have me playing on offense, playing on defense. And
Nice.
like, yeah, it's just like the whole stadium's empty, but they have it sounding like it's going off. And it's just like, it was dope. And then like we went into the locker room, saw all the locker room stuff. That was crazy. Then I get back to the hotel room, and my whole hotel room's decorated in Oregon stuff. Like there's Oregon jerseys on the bed with my name on it.
Did you get to keep that stuff?
No.
Oh.
Well, come to find out, a lot of the other people. Well, shit, I don't know if I should say this, but
hypothetically, what
You got to say it now. This is it.
yeah, hypothetically, I should have kept it. Just put it that way.
Okay.
You stuffed that
I
shit in your
should've.
suitcase, bro.
I was just too by the books. I didn't want to get into it, but
You didn't want to pull like a Reggie Bush.
right.
So-
exactly.
So what kind of feeling did you have at night when you're all by yourself on these trips? It had to be a crazy feeling like goddamn, I've been playing sports all this time and now it's gonna, like, did it feel like you were a Hulk Hogan or something?
It was awesome to have the attention, but like I'm saying, by the second, halfway through the second day, you're just burnt out because it's like go, 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 go. Like you don't really get time to really enjoy anything. They just show you the best of everything and then move on. And so it's just like, so yeah, it was Oregon was cool. Like nothing too crazy went down at Oregon. Then went to Cal, and Cal was probably the wildest one out of all of them.
Wild as hell.
Just everything that like when happened, there was like, it was a crazy introduction to college. I went to this party and there was like orgies going on in the back room, and I was just like,
what?
I was like,
At this time, were you 17 or 18? Like, were you legal?
I was 17. I was 17
So
at this
you weren't
point.
even legal.
No.
You weren't even legal.
Nope, and we're just like, I'm just like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like scared I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm like, what is going on here? Oh my God, I was so
Were
scared.
you the only one that was scared? Was everyone else like, what? Why aren't you getting in on this?
Yeah, pretty much,
Huh?
because it was a bunch of JC recruits in that weekend.
Oh, so they were like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't the ones getting in on the action. It was like other students. But
And they wanted some of Kenny's Frank.
no,
Oh.
wasn't going down. I went back to the Claremont and took my ass to sleep. Bow.
Wow.
I didn't even get home. I'm not gonna do it. I was
Well,
too
I'm
good.
sure there were some good parties waiting for you in the future.
And then yeah. Oh yeah. I did end up going there, by the way. I did mention that, right?
Cal Berkeley.
And then my other trip I went to was Arizona State.
Oh,
And-
what is that? Like number 3 party school in the United States?
It was like number 1 at the time.
Oh, jeez.
And
Cocaine.
the funny thing was my mom went on that one with me.
It's like, Mom, you're killing my game.
And yeah, the chaperone that they had that weekend was so hot. Oh
Who was it? The quarterback's girlfriend?
no, it was like she was like seeing someone on the team, but I don't remember who.
But that's cool. Mom's
think-
got to go with you and see what that was like. I think
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
then she was like, "You're not going here."
She's like,
She was like-
I don't need a grandbaby at 45.
she was she was. Yeah, she just was like, I do not like the way that they presented everything. Everything was just centered around kind of party and da-da-da-da-da. But
Whole
she
package
also,
was wrapped in a bikini.
yeah, but she has also had her bias towards Berkeley. So
Is it because it was the
Woman had a
closest school
condom
that
necklace
recruited you?
on.
what?
So was it because it was the closest school that recruited you?
Well, no,
Actually, Arizona State would be the closest one, probably.
I don't really. From what I know, it was simply just because of the prestige, just simply because it was the #1 public school at the time and #3 in the world, I believe, next to Oxford and one other place.
Oh, damn.
Harvard.
So let's tell us you choose Cal Berkeley. What was day one of Hell Week or whatever you would call it?
Oh man,
was
that
like?
was, whew, like
What
it
they have
was
you do?
legitimately. It wasn't a hell week, by the way. It was 3 weeks, and it was. The physical part was bad, but the mental part on top of the physical part was just like, oh my god. There was, because we'd have meetings like 3 to 4 times a day, learning, like just putting in, like the playbook would be this thick, and so coming in as a freshman, like you don't know any of it. All the upperclassmen have been in the playbook for a year, 2 years, 3 years, some even 4. So you come in as a freshman, you don't know anything, and they just like throw this book at you, and they just start going over plays, and you're just like.
What position were you?
I was playing,
initially?
and at Cal, I got recruited as a strong safety. Their strong safety position is called Rover, though, or was called Rover. They have a new coaching staff. Oh, but what was really cool, let me go back to the recruiting process. What was really cool was having Tedford come to the house and have dinner at my, like, eat with my family and take pictures and stuff like that.
Hell yeah, he did. He wanted you to feel at home.
Yep. So
all the good head coaches do that. Or is he a head coach?
Well, he was, like, at the time he was like the man. He was Pac-10 Coach of the Year and one other some other award. The year that they were recruiting me, because they turned Cal around from like a 1-11 team to a 9-4 team or something like that.
So you get through Hell Week. Game 1's approaching. Anxiety, nerves. What do you got going on?
No. Pretty much by that time I already knew I was redshirting.
Okay.
So it wasn't a problem. Like I accepted it and took that time, and was getting better. And the hardest part about college football is, just like I was saying, the mental aspect of it. It's just so much more mental.
It's a grind.
Yeah, like you're just tired all the time. Like you got to go to school, you got to go to practice, you got to go to weightlifting and conditioning.
And then you
Was
got
that
to
hell?
parties.
Was that hell 3 weeks? Was that before school actually started, or was that during?
Yeah,
school?
it was in August. It was the 3 weeks leading up to school starting. So we would miss freshman week or introduction week or whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that, and we would be literally, they would have us pretty much not necessarily in a prison, but in a dormitory where like the coaches would walk the halls and like make sure people were asleep and like.
You ain't busting no nuts up in here in this 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's probably why I suffered so much, or I didn't do too well. I did sneak out a couple of times during freshman year.
Ooh.
I know. It was my
freshman
own
year.
demise,
So freshman year comes. Do you see any playing time that year, or
no, I didn't dress out. I even.
what about the next year?
The funny thing was about football. So in all my years of playing sports, like I never missed any games, any practices due to injury. Get to college, and I redshirt my freshman year. Well, practicing for the bowl game, I end up blowing out my foot.
Oh.
What kind of injury?
It's the I forget. I tore the sesamoid tendon in my foot. It's commonly known as turf toe. But there's like 3 or I think it's 3 or 4 stages, and I had the most severe where where the tendon was like torn through, and the two sesamoid bones were sliding. The part that makes up the not the ball of your foot, but the where your arch comes up and over. There's two bones that make up that part of your foot. Those bones were sliding down, and they were like 2 centimeters away from where they were supposed to be. And so I ended up.
How did that happen? Was there an incident where that happened?
One-on-one drills. We were doing one-on-one drills at practice. Backpedaled, planted to run forward, and I planted to run forward and snapped.
Just freak accident.
Yep. And so I was on crutches for like 4 months with that. Crutches in a boot.
Good thing that happened when you were redshirting.
Well, it happened in December.
Oh.
So.
Never mind.
Yeah. So I got cleared back basically up to participate in practice, but no contact for spring. And then I ended up getting cleared for that year, what would be my redshirt freshman year, or my second year of college. I ended up going into camp and getting cleared for camp, and the first scrimmage of camp, which is the depth setter for the depth chart, I ended up blowing out my shoulder.
Oh man.
I blew out my shoulder, and then so every year pretty much I ended with the surgery or something medically ended up keeping me from participating.
What happens when players get injured like that? Is that something that school picks up because it happened like during a practice or during a game, and you were under the school's authority when it happens?
Yes, one of the hardest things ever was for me to like get the hang of, and it wasn't necessarily hard, I just didn't really know the process, was scheduling my doctor's appointments after playing football, because I never had to take care of it. Like everything was handled through the doctors. Like that was the best. Like that was a really good thing about college sports, is the medical staff is like they get you the medical help that you need. And
so did you get to play at all, or?
I played going into my third year, like kickoff and like special team stuff, and a little bit on defense. But for the most part, I blew out my shoulder 1 year, my second year, then blew out my other shoulder the next year, and then blew out my hand the fourth year. And surgeries for all of them. So
So what was it like when you knew the first time you were going to go in? What was that adrenaline like? It had to be crazy.
It was.
Was it a televised game?
The first game I went into, I believe so. It was. I want to say Washington State, or no, University of Washington, and I was on kickoff, and my job was to basically hit like the biggest dude on the field.
Oh, great!
And mind you, I do have bad shoulders at this point. So so the kickoff happens. I run down. I find the dude. Boom! Hit him. Blow him up. Blow him up into the running, because it was a personal protector pretty much for the returner. And he came running at me, and I hit him. I like stuffed him into the dude, but ended up hurting my shoulder again. And I sprained my AC joint that time. So I just wasn't built. I just wasn't built for college. I just wasn't built for college.
Hey guys, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Just talk amongst yourselves.
Hey, we'll be right here, man.
So so my college experience in terms of football, personal like football wasn't that great, but I did.
But the ladies knew you were playing football, huh?
Being part of the team was awesome though. The traveling, and the recognition. Even though you don't necessarily play, you're still recognized. So.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people that never play that are.
There's
staff.
I think there was like 115 people on the team.
Right.
And you figure there can only be 11 people on the field at a time. So I mean, and they only travel 53 to away games.
So you still follow college football pretty closely, or?
No, not really. I'll watch it when it's on. I'll watch Cal if they're playing, or like I'm not opposed to it. It's just it's something. It's honestly, when I look back on it, it's I don't want to necessarily say childish, but it's like I don't know. I couldn't like looking at the hitting now that goes on and all that stuff. I personally went in a. I personally just don't have the heart. I literally don't have the heart to go out and just hit somebody just to hit somebody.
Huh.
And that might also have to do something with my with my head injury though. So I ended up. Oh, I don't know if you know about that. I ended up getting being assaulted.
Yeah.
Oh, they're talking? Okay.
Oh,
This is
not muted.
sure.
It's not muted. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I thought it was.
Uh,
I pressed the button to mute it. Oh well. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You suck.
so where was I at? Oh, you know, have you ever been to the well, I don't even know if it's around anymore, but Gas Lamp in Long Beach?
Yeah.
I've been to that bar.
Yeah, so I got assaulted there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got assaulted by security there. Mistaken identity too.
Wow.
Did they think you were some like drunk asshole that had
Pretty much
been there?
Well, they thought that
it was just a racist piece of shit.
it was a big ass Samoan dude that got me. It was like
Oh,
a 300. It was like a 300
shit.
pound, 6'6" Samoan dude.
That's the only people that really terrify me on planet Earth.
Yeah, so I was back. Home for 4th of July weekend, going into my senior year at Cal, and we went down to San Diego to PB, and it ended up being whack. So we left and we went back to Cerritos, and went out with my friends that were back home, and one of my best friends at the time got into a pissing contest with one of the bouncers at Gas Lamp, and long story short, we were getting in a car we were waiting for our ride, and our ride got there, and when we were getting into the car, the bouncer was still yelling at my friend. My friend called him a rent-a-cop. And the bouncer didn't like that very much, so he ran after the car and smashed out the cargo window.
Oh wow.
And so the car stopped, and I don't remember any of this. This is all told to me. But I got out of the car. I guess I told everyone to wait there. I got out of the car. I approached them. I approached the bouncer, and apparently there was three out there at the time. The guy who hit me and two others. And from the two others' testimony in court, they said that I approached them in like a non-confrontational way, just asking who hit the window. And on the third time of me asking who hit the window, the guy who hit the window stepped out and hit me. Bow.
Damn.
And I fell back, hit my head, and my last memory before the hit was us walking out of the bar. And then my next memory is like waking up in the street and like the cop lights being like flashing around and stuff like that. And I had no idea what was going on. My head was just hurting.
Jeez.
Damn, so that's a concussion for sure.
Yeah, so the paramedics come, and like I'm messed up. And I remember denying medical attention at the scene. But I also remember being like really like messed up and just wanting to get home to sleep. And so I denied medical attention there. We get back to my house, but my mom's in Vegas at the time. So my best friend ends up calling my mom to find out what he should do, and she was like, well, I don't know. So she calls the hospital or 911, and they're like, yeah, he needs to get in here and be seen. They end up sending the paramedics. I get taken to La Palma Medical, and they end up giving me a X-ray of my head, give me 2 Vicodin, and send me home. And
What?
I have to be
For a
back.
concussion.
Yeah, and mind you, like I'm still just wanting to sleep. Like I'm throwing up, like the room's spinning if my eyes are awake.
So they give you something that will probably make you nauseous and sleepier.
Yeah, and then send me away. So I get back to my house. I have to be back up to Berkeley. It's Sunday at this point. We have to be back up to Berkeley for Monday because we have practice Monday morning. So my boy who's with me on this whole excursion ends up having to drive my car and us both back up to Berkeley. I'm throwing up the whole way. Get back up to Berkeley, go into the training room, and the training room is like, okay, well, what happened? I tell them what happened. They're like, yeah, we can't touch it. Like, we don't want nothing to do with it. You got to go see your primary.
Damn.
So then I had to fly back. So my mom, they call my mom. They explained to her, yeah, he's really messed up. Like, da-da-da-da-da-da. He needs to see his primary physician. So I end up getting flown back down. My mom ends up booking me a flight later that night to fly back down. And I go into Anaheim, Kaiser of Anaheim. Or no, I go into my primary first. I see my primary physician in La Palma at Kaiser, and he looks at me. He's like, "Oh yeah, we got to get you a CT scan." I'm like, "Okay." So I go get a CT. Go to Anaheim, get a CT scan, and we're waiting for my prescription to get filled. And as we're waiting for my prescription to get filled, my mom's phone rings, and she's talking to the doctor, and as she's talking to her, her eyes just begin to start to water. I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? I don't know. She's talking to the doctor at this point. She was like, okay, we'll be right there. And so she hung up. She's like, come on, we gotta go. You gotta get to the emergency room. I was like, oh shit, okay. So we went to the emergency room. They ended up having us in there for 4 hours in a room. They called it monitoring, but they just had us stuck in a room pretty much sitting there. And then the doctor came in, and he had my CT scan.
So how much time had passed before you're in this emergency room?
So I got hit 7707, and I'm
lucky number. Look at you.
I know. And then I'm at the doctor's, I believe, either on the 9th or the 10th. I think the 10th. So 3 days had passed by this point.
Still having concussion symptoms?
Yeah, still can't really sit up because the room spins. It's bad. And
shitty.
It's a serious head trauma.
They put up my CT scans, and they're like, okay, so you have 2 bleeds. I'm like, wait, what? They're like, yeah, you have 2 brain bleeds. I'm like, oh, okay. And so apparently where my brain, when I got hit, and I either when I got hit or when I hit the ground, my brain smacked up against the back of my skull and then smacked up against the front. It's called a concussion or contra-coup injury or something like that. And it's basically both sides of the brain, or both, not hemispheres, but the front and the back got damaged. And yeah, so needless to say, I sued their asses. And
nice.
You got paid, hopefully.
Yeah, I got paid, but it's not liquid right now. So.
What do you mean?
I took out quite a lump sum to have fun with, and then I just put a bunch of it into Money Mutual and turned over to my financial advisor to assure me to double my return in 8 years. So at 35, I'll start getting payments or annuities on the money that I put into this, put in with my financial advisor.
So what happened to the asshole that hit you?
Well, the lawsuit took 5 years to get done. First of all, there's no quick lawsuits, no matter what they tell you. Right. Everyone was telling me, oh, they're gonna settle, or it's gonna be 1 or 2 years.
Slam dunk, huh?
I was like, all right. We went through 2 trials, and
what happened in the first trial?
The jury couldn't decide how much because the individual who hit me really didn't have anything. So all the compensation was going to basically come through the club and the club's insurance.
Mm.
And so
was he SOS?
Well, he one of the reasons why it kind of took so long is my attorneys couldn't find him to serve him. And so we sued 3 people. We sued him, sued the club, and sued the insurance of the club. And or no, the security company, because they tried to do a third-party contractor, but
Right. Usually they do.
yeah, but they didn't have the security company didn't have insurance, didn't have a business license, and none of the guards had guard cards.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Mickey
so it
Mouse
was like,
Samoan security company.
Yeah, it was a friend. Well, what happened was it was 2 girl owners that owned it. One of the owner's fiance's friend ran a security company, and that's yeah. And so my lawyers had a fun time with that.
yeah.
And so yeah, so now I basically have what they call a frontal lobe cerebral contusion, and it's just like 2 marble-sized spheres of brain tissue, and the front of my head is dead, supposedly.
What?
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently my short-term memory is supposed to be bad, but I can't remember.
That's a good excuse for like forgetting stuff.
Oh, if you're ever married?
You would
it's gonna
think,
come
but
in
it's
handy.
not. You would think so, but it's not. It raises so many problems in relationships with me. I remember like, oh my god, or I forget so much stuff, and it's not that I don't care. It's just I forget. And like, how can you forget? It's like, well,
You need to have that. You need to have that diagnosis like on a card and just flash it. You're like, I have a brain injury.
I just flash them a check from my lawyer.
Hey, it just started raining here. I gotta close some windows up. You guys continue on.
Yep, no problem. We'll vamp.
We'll vamp.
Yeah.
So how long ago did that happen?
That was 7707.
That was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, almost 9.
Damn, that's crazy. So how long did the second trial take then?
It got rescheduled within the year. I think it was like 11 months from the end of the first trial. So the first trial took almost 4 years to get going, and it was only a 2-week. It was like a 2-week long trial. And
Were the lawyers trying to like settle out of court with the people? Is that what they were doing? Did they not want to go to trial?
Well, no, I mean, they wanted to settle, but what was like my case was unique, and it's actually a benchmark case. For it set a lot of case precedents for future cases, but
In like assault cases or
in assault cases, and how security companies like basically need to be the way that my attorney attacked the case basically provided a game plan for future attorneys to attack all the cases like this.
security company cases,
Right.
Because there's been I had an experience with, it wasn't a security. I mean, I've been at plenty of bars where I've seen security guards physically remove people and maybe not in the nicest way, but I mean, there was one time where I was out with a buddy of mine, and we were just out on the, it was, I don't know, it was a slow night. I don't know if it was a weeknight or something, but we both lived within walking distance of a couple bars, and we were out at one, and we were having a good time, not really doing anything, shooting pool or whatever. And as we were leaving, I want to say we bumped into someone, like this group of 3 guys, and did the normal like, oh hey, sorry man. And the guy turned around and turned it into something else. He was like, "Oh, you're damn right, you're sorry." And then my friend is drunker than I am, and he starts saying like, what the hell's your problem? And he's not like a violent guy at all, but this guy just keeps egging him on and egging him on and egging him on, and until the point where my buddy kind of loses it, and he starts screaming at the guy, and I push him away because I'm like, man, there's something wrong here. Something's going. Like nobody just tries to have a fight with someone. This is stupid. And so I pushed him away. And we ended up seeing him again later that night, and they still tried egging us on, and I pushed him back, and I led him back to his house. And then he ends up seeing the guy later. It turns out that he was a cop. He was like off duty, and he was a cop, and he was trying to get my buddy to punch him. Because when you punch an off-duty cop,
It's assault.
You've assaulted a peace officer.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get him to punch him or do something to him so that he could arrest him.
See, and the crazy part is if I didn't know that I had such a squeak, if it wasn't so out of character, I'd never been in a fight, like a legit fight where people were angry and like fighting out of anger. I'm usually the person that's always like separating everyone. And so the only reason why I pursued the case was because I knew for a fact, I didn't remember anything that had happened, but I knew for a fact that like I wasn't the aggressor in the situation.
Well, the dude punched out the window. He punches you. Shit, Sean.
What?
There's some noise in the background. I was muting my mic.
Oh, you did it. Oh, I thought I had you muted the whole time. Oh, you're all good, baby. You know I love you. So the guy gets out. You get out. I mean, the dude's totally at fault. He followed you guys to the car. Security is supposed to make sure that the shit's straight, and around the building. But him following you to the car was making him totally at fault. And you punching you, getting out of the car when you guys were initially leaving. I mean, is that kind of how the case went? That seems like a...
Yeah and no. Like, basically, the club was trying to say that they weren't at fault because it was a third-party security company. But so the problem with the case was my lawyer had to show how they were responsible for the security company.
Exactly. They hired him.
Yeah, they hired him. They have a contract with him.
Right. Well, no, but because basically our the way it works is with the third-party contractor is you have plausible deniability if anything happens. But what was happening was the security guards were getting their direct orders from the owners of the club, not from a manager on duty through the security company. And so since they were fulfilling the orders directly from the owner throughout the night, they were essentially employees of the club, not employees of the security company.
That's some sticky stuff.
Exactly.
I have some experience with contractors, and that's something that you always have to worry about as an employer, making sure that your contractors aren't technically considered employees based on your actions as an employer, and doing stuff like that, like telling them what to do, and yeah, that's some bad news.
Yeah.
Well, basically, it happened on their property. It was their people that they hired. Somebody's gonna fucking pay regardless.
Well,
that's a serious head injury.
Well, yeah, but it goes so much deeper than that. Like, the police who showed up didn't really report the case very accurately because they just took it as like some drunk customer that probably wasn't going to pursue charges. So like their account of the situation was kind of shaky. Thank God that there was a lady that lived across the street that actually like called the cops and said, and like didn't witness it actually happen, but witnessed me laying in the street and stuff like that.
Man, that's fucked
up.
So like she called and like so there was and she had been an avid caller of. Sorry, that's my stuff. Kenny,
turn your fucking phone up.
It's my computer. It's my iMessage.
It's the last time.
I hope so. Can't make any promises. But yeah, so she called.
We run a tight ship around here, damn it.
She pretty much had my back, thank God.
Well, that's good.
Well, yes, yeah, third-party witness would be crucial right there.
Thank God for the kindness of strangers.
Exactly.
Hey, I try and do the same thing,
You try and beat up people who are coming out of clubs?
Yeah, all the time.
And I don't blame you.
The crazy part is between the first trial and the second trial, they put a private investigator on me.
Oh, they wanted to make sure you weren't faking that head injury that the doctors, documented.
They and like the worst that the guy apparently had followed me for like 120 something hours, and the worst he got, and they presented it in court, and this is one of the reasons why we think we kind of also won the case, but they presented it in court, and it was me walking my dogs at the time, not the dogs I have now, but with my ex-girlfriend. I was walking the dogs and texting on my phone and being able to pick up the poop. And they said that I'm able to multitask, so I should be fine.
What? But a lot of head injuries, what we're finding out later is that this shit doesn't come up for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah. And well, there's like the main difference that I noticed for myself is my anxiety. I have bad anxiety.
Ooh.
That sucks, man. Yeah, I deal with that too, and depending on what part of the brain it's in, it could it's all relative to the part of the brain where your injury's at.
It's the emotion part.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dude, I'm giving you a cyber hug right now. Come here. Bring it in.
Hey,
Oh,
Bring it in.
I like it. I like it.
Cyber group hug.
Cyber group hug. Cyber group hug.
Damn,
no,
this has been a very informative whole session about college sports and the aftermath thereof.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's just funny, or not funny, but I guess ironic that with all the head injuries and like growing up, I always you gotta have a backup plan. You gotta have a backup plan. You know you can get hurt. Sports in any play you can get hurt. So I always thought football or I'd get hurt during sports that would take me out. And no, it was out of the bar.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, I'm a big combat sports fan. I have been for a long time. I follow that shit really closely, and especially the new with football and everything, what they're finding out about traumatic brain injury and CTE and stuff like that. I mean, they're thinking that if they could redo the O.J. Simpson trial over again, that the defense would probably call for CTE, and that would be a viable defense. I mean, maybe it may or may not work.
Isn't that can't you only prove that after death?
Yeah, post-mortem. They have to look at the actual brain. But
I guess
they're going to develop something for it.
But no, because there are signs now that the science is coming a long way. It's coming further along, and with especially a lot of these UFC fighters that are retiring, that have had really long careers, people with really long football careers, and you got dudes driving down the road, they have to pull over because they don't even know where they're going.
No,
I mean, how scary is that?
Oh, it's true. It's definitely true, and it does happen. A lot of it, too, though, is I'm not saying it's the person who has committed suicide or has died's fault, but a lot of it, too, comes down to, like, once they're done playing, they don't know what to do with themselves. So they have no identity, and like I kind of went through it myself. I didn't go through the wanting to kill myself part, but like it is, like I said, like I was describing, the simplest things as booking your own doctor's appointment. Like I didn't know how the hell or what information I needed for that and how to do that. Like,
well, if you play football for 4 years in high school and then 4 or 5 years in college, and then maybe you go on to a professional career, so that's 8 years already. You go on to a professional career of what? What's the average professional career of a football player? 6 to 8 years?
No, it's
2 to 3.
3. It's 3, and you get pension after 4.
So let's just say 4. So then you've got 12 years of doing the same thing. Yeah, that would mess you up. All of a sudden you're not doing it. It's like a guy who's been working at some factory for 20 years, and then all of a sudden he has to either retire or he gets laid off, and what is he supposed to do?
Well,
yeah. But people in the NFL go away from the sport with money. I mean,
nah, not really, not usually. It's because they're not necessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're highly paid athletes, but their contracts aren't guaranteed. So, like, dude, what's his name? Joshua Norman, or the dude who just the cornerback that just signed with the Redskins. He just signed a $75 million contract for 5 years. But if he gets hurt and like on the first play of this next season, he's only going to get half of that. Or
right.
I don't even think it's half of that. It gets reduced significantly, and it's all back end loaded. So you got to play all 5 years to get, a bulk of the money.
Huh. Well, I'm definitely glad we got to do this because it's been on my mind, and I wanted to, ask you while we were recording. So, pretty interesting place that you have been since we've been hanging out as little kids when my dad was picking you up to go to Cerritos Hornet practice. That's why you never missed any practices.
Damn right.
Because we were picking your ass up when you didn't have a ride.
Forget football practice, because I think we only played 1 year. It was baseball practice. Your dad did it for 3.
Oh shit, that's right. We played baseball together. God.
Yeah, the Marlins.
You guys with all this history, it's kind of intimidating.
Sean, you're a good analyst, though. That's why we love you.
Thank you. Well, I actually should probably get going. It's been a while, and if you haven't noticed, I've been eating dinner because I hadn't eaten it yet. But I got some other stuff to do. So I don't know if you guys want to keep talking, but I kind of have to bail.
Okay.
You want to keep?
You have anything to say about Prince, Sean Coca? Shout out to Prince.
Shout out to Prince. It's too bad that you got hooked on Percocet, probably because you probably had another 20 years of music in you or more, and you should have just, I don't know what the deal is. I thought he was all about clean living. I mean, I guess the coroner's report hasn't come out officially yet, but seems like all the buzz is about Percocet and heavy dosage of that. So shout out to Prince. Damn it, man. Why couldn't you have stayed clean?
Okay. That's fair enough. Me and Kenny will send him off, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Peace out.
Thank you for joining us.
Pieces.
Yes. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
So do we continue about Prince, or do you want to save that for the end?
Well, I mean, I like a couple of Prince's songs, but it's kind of one of those things that you don't realize how much of an impact somebody has until they're not there anymore. But pretty powerful stuff when you hear people that were actually like our age that were listening to his music talk about him, and it just seems like something doesn't seem right. Like and the same thing with Michael Jackson's death too. It never really sat well with me. The whole Conrad Murray thing and Prince, and then there are some conspiracy videos coming out saying that he was talking about chemtrails and shit like that, which I didn't really dig that deep into yet, at least. But it does, like the flu. I mean, come on, who gets taken out by the flu? Not Prince. Like, I don't know.
No, I agree 100%. I don't. Apparently, from everything I know, from what everyone was saying that knew him, they said that he lived clean, but apparently he started experiencing like chronic hip pain, and so he was on Percocet. But man, how much of those do you got to take to kill yourself? I mean, I'm sure it's not many, but I'm sure you don't need many to numb the pain either.
Well, we may never find out.
True story.
But
the one thing I was impressed though about him, and I'm pretty much in the same boat as you, apart from like Dove's Cry and a couple of other of his quote unquote mainstream songs, I didn't really know much about him. And then I happened to catch a interview with Van Jones. And man, like he talked about him. I was blown away. Apparently he was a huge philanthropist, but didn't want any recognition for it.
Right. Yeah. Donated not hundreds, but millions of dollars anonymously. Kind of. The charity knew where it was coming from, but.
Right. Yeah. And like he's responsible for, I guess, putting solar panels on houses in Oakland.
Yep.
And doing, most of the time he was doing concerts, it was benefits. It wasn't even like, a lot of it wasn't necessarily for him to gain money. I mean, I'm sure he had to make his money as well, but like he did a lot of concerts for benefit of either some kind of charity or some kind of special cause, or to bring awareness to a city for a cause. So I was really impressed about that. I didn't know that. And he didn't want any recognition for it.
Well, yeah, and that's noble, but at some point, a reasonable, good human being is going to be like, okay, I have $100 million. Do I need any more money than that? No. I mean, realistically, unless you're going to build some like evil corporation, which is like, I guess, a whole nother fucking conversation. If you have $100 million, you're pretty much set. What else do you need? So a good person at that point is going to be like, okay, I'm good. And how can I help other people? You know, I think that's kind of how I would be. I don't know. You know, that power will always reveal a person's true character. And I tend to believe that I would be more on the helping side. Like, you got $100 million. Like, what do you need more money than that? I mean, come on.
Oh, I agree 100%. I mean, I've kind of had a little bit of a taste of that, and it's kind of also made me realize that you can't always be so nice. but
right.
But
you didn't have $100 million though.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't nowhere close to that. but man, it's baffling to me. Like, I personally had a 3-bedroom house before I moved into this condo that I was renting. And it was a 3-bedroom house for me and my dogs. And like, if I had friends and whatnot to come over and stay, whatever. But like, it was so much room that there's no way I could use all that space. And that was just a 3-bedroom house. Now I think of like houses that are like 10, 15 bedroom and it's like one family living there. I'm just like, what do you do with all that? Like, that's just wasted.
Right.
Just wasted. You don't need all that space. But it is what it is.
Well, shout out to Prince. And on a side note, on a maybe an ending note, I've heard great guitarists say that he's the best guitarist they've ever heard. And multi-talented. I mean, some people say that he's sang better than Michael Jackson. I don't want to go that far, but I'm a Michael fan. I'm a big Michael fan.
2 interesting facts about that. One, I couldn't believe he played over 20 instruments. That's ridiculous to me. That's like, wow. And the other is, in the music video, Michael Jackson's music video for Bad, Wesley Snipes' part.
Yeah.
The bad guy he's fighting that he gets tied to have the knife fight with. That was originally offered to Prince.
Really?
Yeah, but Prince like said from a like visual standpoint, like he was like the first words in the song is "Yo, bud is mine." He's like, and he was like, and who's gonna be singing that to who? Because I know for sure you ain't singing it to me, and for damn sure I ain't singing it to you.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, so those are my interesting Prince facts.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, we should stay up on it, see if there's any kind of dirt that comes out. I kind of had a feeling about Michael Jackson that there was some foul play there for sure.
Yeah,
with the Conrad Murray, and I actually had a panic attack the day that Michael Jackson died. I was going through a lot of other shit, and yeah, my 20s are pretty dark, but maybe we'll do that on another one.
Well, that's what the 30s are for.
Yeah,
all light.
Well, right before my 30th birthday, I found my best friend dead, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we have time for it if you want, but
no, I think we're at a good time right now. We're actually a little over the normal, but I mean,
I think
we're good.
Yeah.
No,
we're right at that time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I believe we started at like 7:30.
Okay. No, I think we're good.
Yeah.
We'll just wrap it on up.
Right on.
Thank you, the Earthlings, whoever listens to this. It's been a good one. Oh, yeah, I guess we could save. Do you want to talk about Flint at all?
We can do that. We can do that for next week.
Okay.
It's still going to be going on. It's not ending anytime soon.
There's some stuff that came out today. Obama's going to go visit, and there's a lawyer that's suing the EPA.
Ooh.
So we'll get up on that, and but I'm pretty happy that we didn't need to go over any topics. We can just shoot the shit, and that's it's good to know.
Yeah, it works.
Hell yeah! All right, everybody. Is that it? You got any last words, Kenny?
Nope. Just thank you guys for your viewership.
If you've made it this far, God bless you.
Yeah, let's get our views up.
And step your game up.
Ooh.
Oh. Step your mercatorial game up.
Ooh. Fire. Spit hot fire.